All right, now joining us, good friend of the show, Michele Liew from the Swing Lab Performance and Therapy Center. Michelle, welcome back to Golf Talk Canada.
Yeah, thank you for having me again.
Absolutely. It's great to have you on again. And a little later in the interview, we'll get into the evolution, if we could call that, of my golf swing since we first saw each other a little while ago now. But for someone
Mhm.
watching, for someone listening who hasn't heard of the Swing Lab Performance and Therapy Center before, give us an overview of what it's all about.
Yeah, for sure. So Swing Lab, what we do is we specialize working on people's body for their golf swing. So basically, what we try to do is look at how you utilize your body in the golf swing and identify any physical limitations or injuries that you may have, what causing it, and tie that to what you're doing in the golf swing in terms of like if you have any specific characteristics or patterns in the swing that you have been trying to correct but can't seem to fix that. We look at your body and then tie it to the swing so that we can put it together and fix both the body and the golf swing at the same time to make it easier for you.
And do you find, in terms of average age, like, are you seeing people
Mhm.
over 50, under 50? What would you say is the average age of someone walking into your center?
We see a very big range of golfers. So I would say in general, the whole range we see as young as 8 years old to as old as 85. So if we take an average, probably I would say around the 50-year-old mark. But nowadays, I think since COVID, golf has grown so much, we really see a group of younger golfers that have just gotten so much into the game in the last few years and got really good at that. And then we also see the older golfers where like they are really working at the body and keeping the longevity of the game, right? Where golfers in their 80s shooting their age too.
Oh, that's fantastic to hear. So,
Yeah.
give us an overview when someone walks in for the first time, what happens next?
Mhm. So yeah, so when people come in for their first visit is usually the assessment. So we usually start with a 3D biomechanics assessment so that we can really draw a baseline of your body and the golf swing. The first part of it is a physical assessment where we'll go through everything from like mobility, stability, neuromuscular control, how you like control your joints when we load it in different positions. And then we look at that and then we follow by a 3D motion capture of your golf swing. Yeah, so from there we can look at how much you rotate, you tilt, and how fast you're rotating, all the different joints and angles, and tying that to what your body physical capabilities are. We can then identify your true body swing connection to figure out what we need to work on to make the swing more efficient and more friendly to your body.
Wow. Okay. So for the average person, what would you say is the area that you've seen where people need to work on the most in terms of their body? Is it the back, the hips, that sort of thing?
Mhm. I would say generally the most common thing definitely is like the back, the hip, and the upper back. So because most people nowadays work on computers, kids using computers at school or people on their phones and iPads, right? So a lot of sitting cause a lot of stiffness in the spine itself, both the upper where the neck and upper spine is, and also the lower spine into the pelvis hip area. And a lot of times, with that being restricted, it restricts the rotation and separation, which is the main thing you need in the golf swing. Then it makes it very difficult for people to stay in posture and rotate properly during the golf swing.
Well, that was one of the eye-opening things for me personally was during our first
Hmm.
session, we talked about how my spine was I couldn't move, I couldn't twist at all. And you gave me a couple of very simple exercises that, to be quite honest,
Hmm.
I do every night before I go to sleep, before I
That's
warm up
good.
before the golf. I do a couple. They're simple too, but they warm up the spine. And the beauty of Swing Lab, Michelle, is that we're training golf specific muscles. So we're not bench pressing, we're not deadlifting
Hmm.
500 pounds, we're not squatting. We're doing exercises in your facility that are specifically designed to help you improve your golf swing and make your body feel better, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So a lot of the work we do specializes in neuromuscular control, and we specifically test the muscles that you need to fire to create the movement in a golf swing. A lot of times people end up having compensation over time and they don't realize they have that. So through testing, we can identify what's compensating for what muscles and then train your body to fire the right muscles properly and teach it how to control the rotation in the swing, because without that functional training bridge in between that, then even if you can work out the muscle and like lift a lot of weight, that may not translate into the golf swing. Yeah, so we try to tie it all together to make sure it's more a functional strength than just lifting a lot of weights.
That's so fascinating. And since the last time we had you on the show, there's been an addition to the simulator, and that is Sportsbox AI. For someone who has no idea what that means, tell us what
Mhm.
Sportsbox AI is.
Yeah, for sure. So at Swing Lab, one of the biggest thing we do is with 3D motion analysis of the swing, right? Traditionally, it's always been a marker system that we have to put sensors on the person so that we can recreate a 3D model. But with technology improvements nowadays, this company that we started using their software and do a lot of work with is Sportsbox AI. And what they have created is very unique, is that they can take one one dimension, sorry, not one dimension, one view of the video on a mobile app, or in our case, we have also a studio version that we take two camera views. And through that, the AI can remodel the video into a 3D model. So that way we can still measure and see how much the person is rotating, how much the person is tilting without actually putting sensors on the body. Yeah, so it's a very unique and convenient way of capturing the swing, and also helps when our clients use it to practice so that they can identify and make sure they're doing the right thing.
Well, not only is it convenient, it's also in real time too, right? Like you can see,
Yes.
we can watch a swing of whoever hitting a golf ball in your simulator, and 2 seconds later have a side by side of an AI generated swing as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's the part that they have done a really good job, that it does it, and it also does auto capture. So if you have it for when you're practicing, you just put it on, it will detect when you are ready in the setup posture and it just captures it.
That's so amazing. And, for those who have listened, watched us for quite some time, they know that I've come to your facility. It's been quite some time now. I've actually lost track of how many times I've been, and my golf swing
Yeah.
has changed a fair amount since we first began. Michelle, is it safe to say that I went from sort of a sumo squat on my heels, hope for dear
Hmm.
life that I can center or close the club face and center it at impact, to maybe I'm a little more fluid now? What do you think?
Oh, I would say 100% more fluid. I mean, there's still parts that we need more rotation, but then compared to the first time we capture your swing in 3D to now, the overall posture and how you can keep that posture when you rotate has improved a lot in terms of how you load and how you transfer your pressure, all that stuff. The body is moving way better. Yeah. Then we just need to keep working on that rotation through the impact a little bit better.
That's the beauty of golf. It's the everlasting search for perfection. And before we go, I mentioned earlier in the interview
Hmm.
that I do some stretches every night to try to loosen up my hips, loosen up my spine. I'm 32. I'd like to think I'm a relatively fit and healthy human being. But how important is that for someone who comes and sees you to actually take
Hmm.
what you tell them to do in terms of the exercises, and use that as homework so they can apply that to not only their golf game but their everyday lives to start feeling better?
Yeah. So we like to give people homework, like Adam say.
Yeah.
I would say in general, I tell people the initial part of it, after the initial assessment, the first homework program that we kind of prescribe, the more you do it, the better it is, just so that your body starts making the change, right? Normally, it takes about 10 to 14 days of people doing the initial exercise to start feeling different. And once your body starts feeling the difference and can move differently, Then from there, even if you maintain it doing like 3-4 times a week, and then eventually down to twice a week, it is much easier to maintain that way than wait for something to go bad and then try to do exercises to fix it again. And in general, most people, once they go through the initial phase, the body feels so much different that they start to feel better in day-to-day life as well, other than just for their golf. Yeah.
Yeah, that's been the biggest adjustment for me, is not waking up with lower back pain, which has been
Mm.
eye-opening and a great thing. Okay, to wrap here, someone watching, someone listening, they're loving everything they're hearing. How do they find more information?
Yeah, you can go on our website, which is swinglabtheory.com, and all the information are there. We do offer a complimentary consultation for everyone that is interested to learn more and want to talk to one of us one-on-one. You can just book that appointment online, and you can also find us on Instagram at swinglabto.
Well, there's so much great technology going on at Swing Lab, the improvements, and it helps your golf game, whether you're 8 years old or 85 years old. Go check out Swing Lab. Michele, thanks for your time today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.